If you ever felt the urge to change something in your project because it feels uneven, this one's for you. Because here's what usually happens. You notice small differences. One work stream moving faster than the others. One stakeholder satisfied, another one's restless. One part of the project feels solid, the other makes you feel uncomfortable. Nothing is actually broken, but it doesn't feel balanced. And that discomfort pushes you towards action. You start thinking, should I add a tool? Should I tighten the process? Should I introduce a new framework? Am I missing something that everybody else seems to be using? That moment matters more than you think. I was reading a comment recently about growing a long beard, and it stuck with me because it unintentionally described project management perfectly. When you grow a beard seriously, both sides will grow differently, always. One side curls, one side dries out, one side behaves, and the other side makes you question all your life choices. And that's when the advice starts. Try this oil, try this butter, try this balm. Put product in before bed. Oh, don't, it'll ruin your pillow. Trim it. Oh, don't trim it, you'll ruin the length. You end up surrounded by options, and none of them are responding to a clearly defined problem yet. At that point, people do one of two things. They overcorrect or they quit. Projects fail the exact same way. Uneven velocity, add a tool. Stakeholder discomfort, add a report. Uncertainty, add a process. Pause here because this is where PMBOK gets misunderstood. PMBOK does not say use more tools. PMBOK says tailor. Tailoring isn't about selecting everything that's available. It's about choosing only what brings value in this context. You might be thinking, best practices matter. Frameworks exist for a reason. And they do, but only when they're solving a problem. PMBOK is very clear on this. Tools, methods, and artifacts are means and not outcomes. Using a tool just to say you're using it does not create maturity. It creates overhead, and PMBOK warns about this directly. If an activity doesn't contribute to value delivery, it's a waste. Let me explain that differently. If you can't explain how a tool improves decision-making, reduces risk, or enables outcomes, then it's not tailored, it's just adopted. And adoption without purpose is where projects get heavy. Let me slow this down for a second. Before you look for a solution, you have to define the problem. Not the symptom, not the discomfort, but the actual problem. And this is where projects go off the rails. You feel tension, something feels inefficient, a meeting feels unproductive, a delivery feels late, and your brain immediately jumps to fixing. New tool, new template, new process. But PMBOK is very intentional here. Problem definition comes before solution selection. If you don't name the problem clearly, every solution looks reasonable. And that's dangerous. Here's how you can tell the difference. If you can't finish this sentence clearly, this is happening because ... you're not ready to add anything yet. Meetings are long isn't the problem. The problem might be unclear decisions. Progress is slow isn't the problem. The problem might be too many handoffs or unclear ownership. Until you define that, tools don't add value, they add noise. And PMBOK treats this as a leadership responsibility and not a technical one. Tailoring starts with judgment. Judgment starts with clarity. Once the problem is clear, the right solution becomes obvious, and sometimes the right answer is to do nothing. That's not inaction, that's control. You might be thinking, okay, when do I know to add something and when do I know to leave it alone? And here's the shift that changes everything. You stop adding tools unless you can name the problem precisely. Not emotionally, not vaguely, specifically. Too many handoffs causing delays. Unclear ownership leading to rework. Decisions stalling because authority isn't defined. Those are problems. This feels messy isn't one yet. In PMBOK terms, tailoring starts with context. Not standards, not templates, context. What is the outcome we're trying to enable? What is actually getting in the way? What decision needs support right now? If the tool doesn't move that forward, then it doesn't belong, no matter how popular it is. At one point, I tried every solution people recommended. Balms, butters, oils, all of it. It got expensive, messy, and it didn't actually help. Why? Because I was adding solutions before I was understanding the problem. Eventually, I stopped consuming solutions and started responding to needs. That's not optimization, that's judgment. And that's what PMBOK is really teaching at the professional level. Project management isn't knowing all of the tools that you can use, it's about knowing when not to use one. You don't get value for activity, you get value for fit. Fit to the problem, fit to the context, fit to the outcome you're responsible for, and not the checklist you're trying to complete. So if you've been feeling the urge to add something to your project lately, pause. Ask yourself one question. What problem am I actually solving, and does this bring value to the outcome? If you can answer that clearly, move forward with confidence. If you can't, then leaving it alone might be the most professional decision you've made all week. One quick note before you go. Because my beard video took off more than expected, I've created a separate channel called The Beard Project specifically for beard content. If you found this video because of the beard, and that's what you're here for, go subscribe over there. That's where all future beard videos will live. I have created a counterpart to this video over on that channel that is primarily focused on the beard. This channel will stay focused on project management. I appreciate you being here, and we'll see you in the next one.